welcome, and thanks for talking to me again today. It's the EricSwahn podcast. I believe it's in the high 70s. I think I want to say 77 or 78. So thanks for coming and talking to me, Joseph Limandri, again for the second time. So get a little bit of a recap.
So guys, thank you, Eric, again for having me on. I greatly appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, man. So what's going on in your life lately?
Not much, just been training a lot and just really working for the new season. And as I'm sure you know, and a lot of people know, there's been some big things that are happening for 2022, and I'm really excited.
Heck yeah. Well, let's dive right in. Last year was pretty cool. You had some good finishes. You were up there. Good results and all that. You want to talk about how you did last year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last year was definitely a big stepping stone from how I was the year before that. Just the riding has changed a lot since then too. The everyone has gotten faster and better and more experienced, and so have I. And at the beginning of the year, it was kind of rough. VIR was a good race. We had very good results, and we got fifth and was it fifth? I think we had DNF in race one. That was my fault. Got in a little hot and took the front and
rider error.
Yeah, it took out my friend Max Toth with me, which that sucked. But race two, I think we finished fifth. But after that race, I saw there's some things I needed to work on, my starts and like where I wanted to be at the end of the race. So I worked on it. We got to Road America, and that was a weekend we like to forget about.
Road America is a tough track, man. Everybody struggles there. Well, if you're on a Ducati, maybe not. I don't know. But it seems like it's basically you got 3 drag strips with a couple turns in the middle.
Yeah, that you explained it perfectly. And that weekend, the weekend started off good. I had a good practice. I think I finished. I can't remember the results exactly, but it was on the top 3, I think, for practice 1. Then qualifying 1, I finished P6 and I was a little off pace, but I was still there. And we went to qualifying 2, and my times dropped by about a second. And I honestly, I just couldn't figure out why. I tried everything, and I just couldn't.
Dropped and went the wrong way?
Yeah, we went the wrong direction, and I don't think it was because of suspension changes or anything, because the bike felt good. The bike felt solid through the turns and everything. But in the races, same thing. I just couldn't find rhythm, and I just dropped back and I couldn't catch up. Mostly at that track, when you lose the draft, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, you get so separated apart, and such a long straightaway track like that, you get into groups, and it's hard to sometimes get back with that group.
Yeah, it's either you get stuck in a group and you can't get away, or you lose a group and you can't catch up. So that track kind of, you just got to get out front and stay up front, or your race is ruined. And I learned that the hard way, and I learned a couple other things too, like I was cutting too much to the inside, and just little stupid things like that.
Yeah, I was actually track marshal that weekend, corner working. So I was with Moto America, flagging and communications. I was doing picking up bikes. I was at the Canada corner. I was the last day I was on the straightaway, just as you exit the last corner. And then I was also at the carousel at that turn 9, I think it is. And it's pretty cool, like to see all the different angles of the track and the bumps that the riders hit. Everybody hits the bumps, differently, and how different riders handle them or don't handle them, right?
Yeah, Canada corner, like you said, you were flagging there. I'm sure you saw a lot of people hitting that inside bump. That bump is pretty gnarly. Like in turn 1, you hit it and you just fall off the inside of the bike.
Yeah.
Every time you hit it, you're like, I'm about to tuck the front.
So you got a couple options, right? If there's a bump, you can either do nothing, go right through it, change your suspension, or change your line. Is there any other options? I mean, there's probably something else.
I mean, there's not really. Changing your line depends on the turn. Sometimes it's just more beneficial to just hit it. That's the way I see it sometimes. Like I'll turn in a little sooner, so I'm kind of pointed to the turn already, and I could just take that little extra second to half a second to pick up the bike real quick and drop it back in, instead of changing up a whole outside line or something and having to slow down way more. And changing your suspension, it depends. A track like Road America, you can get away with changing your suspension a lot because there's not that many turns you have to deal with. But a track like Pittsburgh, if there was one turn with a bad bump like Canada corner, you can change your whole suspension just to fit that one turn.
Right. So it's about you fix one problem and you might have a new problem over here that's worse in the rest of the track.
Yeah, just some corners you just have to learn to deal with it. Just have to learn to ride around and adapt.
For sure. Um, and then, sorry, I interrupted. You were talking about some of your finishes.
Oh yeah, and after Road America, like I said, I watched the videos, I saw the mistakes I was making, and what was the next race after Road America? Do you remember correctly? Was it Pittsburgh?
Um, I think Pittsburgh was after, yeah.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh, you could see the changes I made and how it improved riding. Not even just the changes I made, the changes our team made too. The Boss Racing Cyber Safe Solutions JL62 team really, like, I'm not kidding when I say they put a lot of effort into those next couple. I think it was 2 weeks from after that race just to get me back for Pittsburgh, and I honestly, that weekend was a big jump from the weekends before. The bike felt amazing. The team morale was high, and I love Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is an amazing track,
Yeah.
and I really like that track. It suits my riding style. Just fast turns and staying on the gas. I love riding like that. So it really suited just my riding. So I was already confident. The team was confident because we figured out some problems with the bike that we had from the previous races that was leaving me a little down on horsepower, and I always had to make it up in the turns. But when I went to Pittsburgh, I was able to keep up on the straightaways. So now I didn't have to just worry about just carrying that extra. I can keep carrying that extra speed through the turns and not have to lose it on the straightaways. So it was very well that weekend, and the results showed it. It showed it. First race P2, second race P3, and battling
Awesome.
uh, first and second the whole time, and one of the fastest times of the whole weekend.
That's what you want to see, that consistency and speed. And it sounds like you like elevation. You're not afraid of going up and down.
No, just you just have to learn to carry momentum depending on the turn. Like uphill turns, I love carrying corner speed. So turns where you can kill your momentum really helps me because I just know to let go of that front brake lever and throw the bike in the turn. And I trust the bike. I trust my K-Tech suspension. I trust the Dunlop tires that they will hold when I get to the apex on that turn and roll on the gas.
And you just have to be really careful as you gain in elevation or increase in altitude. You're going to be having to maybe get off the throttle to have some more traction points available.
That does depend on the turn, but most turns, if they're elevated, most of them are positive camber. So usually you don't have to worry about that because the positive camber, it kind of sucks you into the like the traction. Like the tires will squish and you'll have a lot bigger contact patch. So
Yeah,
you
when it compresses.
yeah, it usually just pushes your bike down and really puts weight on that tire. So actually you can get on the gas sooner than you think and carry way more roll speed.
Yeah, so it seems like counterintuitive sometimes, but you just gotta sometimes put those fears out of your head, right?
But like you said, right when you get to the top and your suspension unloads, you will lose a little bit of grip. So you do want your bike straight up and down. But other than that, the more elevated turn, the more positive camber, the more I love that turn.
Now, talking about elevation, would you ever do something like Pike's Peak?
I've never seen the track and I've never been there. So
So Pike's Peak is it's like a mountain course. So that they start at one point and they go up all the way to the top of a mountain, and it is pretty dangerous, I'd say. You can fly off the side of the mountain if you get it wrong.
I know what you're talking about. I
But
know.
those guys rip up there, and that's a massive elevation change. I just heard about electric bikes having trouble, just like carbureted and fuel injected bikes do, because the battery temperature is so dramatic in higher elevations, it actually affects the performance of the car or something like that. I might be getting that wrong, but they're not prone to you know the environment changes so much about how the machine performs, whether you're at elevation or sea level or what tons of different factors.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I know that that's right, but I can't explain how. That's something you have to talk to Anthony Corbo from Boss Racing about. He's especially with that, and I don't know. I don't really know much about it. I just know that it does affect how the bike will work.
For sure. Um, so yeah, and then next year, what I know that you have teamed up with another team member, so to speak, or a different team. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I'm working with Sport Bike Track here this year, repping their
It
shit right
is.
now. And Yeah, we were just at every round together, and I've grown really like me and Max Van, one of the other riders in SCG. We work really well together, and we're able to communicate and just learn from each other. We can figure out what we're doing on the track and come off the track and communicate and really figure out like how are we going to help each other, like how are we going to help in race one or race two, what are we going to do differently that works. We'll sit and look at a track map and watch videos, and we learn from each other. Just even by watching each other ride from a distance, we can learn what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yeah, and it's good to bounce ideas off of somebody else. Are you guys comparing data or like looking at the numbers on a laptop or something?
Yeah, I usually the laptop I'm on right now, or I use our laptop. I have the data set up, and we'll just go over data, just look over like just like anything, like how much throttle I'm carrying at this point of the turn, and we'll talk amongst ourselves and figure out like, oh, what if we change our line here and carry the throttle to here, or just something like that.
Sure. Um, yeah, it's going to be good to have a new teammate. You know, I worked at STG for a couple of years back in like 20, I think it was 13 to 15, so I know them very well. I'm only a couple of miles from the store.
Oh, really?
Yep, I live in Michigan in Sterling Heights, so they're just maybe 6 miles, 7 miles north of me.
Oh, really? That's pretty sweet. I'd be up there every day, spending all my money.
Well, that's what I started to do. That's how I basically got a job there. I was spending all my money there, and then I beat Brian Van in a race. And I thought I was like, oh, Brian Van's in this race. He's gonna kick my ass. You know, he was a professional at one point. He had a pro license, and I was doing like my first season of expert, and I was like looking for him over my shoulder type of thing the whole race, and I never found him. So that was pretty cool. And then right after, I think I got hired by him. So he was like, he likes fast guys, and I knew a lot about the parts anyway. So it was a good relationship for a couple of years. And you know, now I branched out and I sell my own parts online. So I'm kind of doing the same type of thing. But yeah, now I have 34 different brands for sale, from driven racing to M4 exhaust and all kinds of stuff. So I just got a new one, Revit. So I have suits and jackets and boots, gloves, and all kinds of gear now.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, now that I know you beat Brian Van, I have something to make fun of him about. He'll be
Yeah, I'm
happy.
sure he'll love that.
You gotta go over there and just talk about it to him all the time. I do it every day. Yeah, Brian, remember when I beat you?
Yeah, I think it was like 40 or 50 seconds or something.
Oh wow.
But that was many years ago. I haven't been on a bike on a sport bike since 2018. I did a track day on my Triumph, but this year I got into, or I should say last year, 2021, I got into Supermoto. Did a bunch of track days for that, and I really enjoyed it. I'd like to do more of that. It's super cheap, and it doesn't you don't go through tires. Like the event costs are almost nothing, just your own gas, and you don't really go through tires.
Should I get
Uh,
it? Really?
so, and they actually race at Kart to Kart, or they just changed the name. They just bought it out, I think. It's Full Throttle Adrenaline Park, FTAP. They're like a big franchise. So they do 50cc indoor um, mini bike racing at this place, 3 miles or 2 miles from my house. So I'd like to do that as well.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick. You should go over. It's like an indoor karting place.
Yep, that's an indoor karting place. They have an axe throwing and all kinds of stuff, a big banquet, and you can actually drink and drive because it's a private event and closed course, but I'm sure they won't let you get to do that.
Yeah, well, it's not something I have to worry about.
Well, you're how old now?
16.
16. And
Almost
you've been
17.
racing for how many years?
Ooh, I always get asked that question. I always forget.
Well, it changes every year.
6 years.
6 years. All right.
Professional.
Very good. And so coming on a podcast, is there any topics you had on your mind?
Actually, yeah, I am really excited to share another partnership we have with RST Moto, and it just happened a couple hours ago. We finally got the go-ahead, and yeah, and I've heard nothing but good things about them. Team Hammer they always rep their suits, and I've talked to Sam and Dom Doyle, and they love their stuff. So I just thought, you know what, I should message them and just try to get in touch with them, and they're great people and everything. So I'm just really excited to start wearing their stuff. I know they're protecting me very well, and so I'll never have to worry about that again.
Heck yeah, you know, that's a big name, and I never know what's real and what's not. You know, as motorcycle riders and racers, I seem to get tons of messages from people in Pakistan and China and all over the place trying to sell you suits. But it's like you never know what's good quality or not. He's like, $300, you get custom suit for you. You try. You know, like it's like
Yeah,
terrible grammar. It's like I can understand what he's saying, but like I wouldn't buy from this company who can barely speak English.
yeah, or they probably don't even know anything about suits. They get it from somewhere else too.
So
Or get
you
it from
never know. It could be good, but you get 16 messages a month like that. You're like, okay, this is kind of annoying.
Yeah, I have lists and lists of people just messaging me about suits, and I just always ignore them. But luckily, at least RST is you can trust them. I know people who wear them, and they're definitely not a company that is untrustworthy or a liar. And they have great quality things. So I'm really excited to start wearing their stuff.
Yeah, definitely a big name for sure. And they make suits and gloves, is it also?
Suits and boots.
Suits and boots. Very good. Um, yeah, man, I hurt my ankle in a mountain bike crash. I've been mountain bike racing too in the meantime, just trying to stay fit. And it was just a silly crash. I just tucked the front, but I tucked the front down, step down. And so I fell down like quite a bit of space and before I hit the ground. Um, so my ankle hit kind of weird. And ever since it's been acting up. So I'm like, man, I should wear boots when I do mountain biking. I think that's probably a good idea to have more protection.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really do much mountain biking, but I do ride dirt bikes, and I'll tell you that step downs are gnarly if you mess them up.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah, it can
kicked
be
out
pretty
of
bad.
it.
So tell me about your dirt biking. You use that a lot for training?
Yeah, and I just got my license not too long ago, and I just got a truck. I get it registered tomorrow, so I'm gonna
Nice.
start doing some more moto trips. But usually I go up to Gus Rodeo's house, or there's a lot of places near my house just to ride some moto. And I'm not I'm not the greatest, but I've gotten way better, and I can actually like get around a track now pretty quick, and it's just really good training tool. You're always moving around. There's no breaks, and you're always thinking. You have no time to like relax. There's always something going through your head, like which rut, the track conditions changed again. Which rut am I choosing now? Braking bumps here, so you're always on top, and that really helps with road racing. Keeps you
Yeah.
sharp with those.
And that changing surface all the time is just something you have to always deal with. And I'm sure it's not only, you know, the dirt gets hardened or rutted, but it's also dirt from sand and rocks and maybe not rocks, but pebbles or whatever you're going through. You know, it's all different terrain too.
Yeah, and like I said at Gus's house, it's Jersey, and it's like mostly beach sand. So that riding in that is hard, and
Yeah.
it teaches you a lot about holding your momentum through a turn.
Yeah. And not stabbing the brakes, just being smooth everywhere you can.
Yeah, because the moment you let off the gas or lose your momentum, your front will sink into the sand and you'll crash.
Now, you're doing big jumps and like doubles, triples, what kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a vet track kind of guy, so the jumps I hit are kind of mellow, and
Yeah.
some of them they can get decent. I could hit bigger jumps. It's just until I get really good, I don't want to go sending it on a national track and hurting myself before a big race or anything because I know that's bound to happen. So
Oh, yeah, I hear you for
until I
sure. You
get,
know, that's always the risk of people getting into that is, man, what if I mess up a jump and case it and smack my head in the bars?
yeah, exactly. That's what goes through my head. So until I get really confident, really comfortable, I'm just gonna stick to the more mellow. Or I mean, if the track has some big jumps, I'm not gonna not hit them. I'm gonna hit them from there.
Yeah,
And like the places by my house, there's one 40 minutes away, and they have some pretty decent sized jumps, like 60-foot tables and stuff like that. Like I'll hit those.
yeah. You just got to get the confidence. And are there any tips you'd give people for, I mean, because you're more experienced than I am on a dirt bike for as far as jumping. So what are your tips for jumping a dirt bike?
Honestly, just commit. That's
Just don't back out last second.
the biggest advice I can give anyone in riding moto in general is just commit because everything you do is relying on just being confident. The second you either waver a little bit or you're a little uncomfortable, you're either going to screw up the jump or you're going to lose the rut that you're in and you're just going to hit the ground. So, and hitting the ground on a dirt bike hurts no matter how fast or how slow you're going.
Yeah. I feel like in road racing, you slide most of the time, and dirt bikes, you stick.
Yeah, you bounce.
You don't want to stick.
No, sliding is definitely better. I've gotten hurt. I mean, I have gotten hurt more on a road race bike, but I've gotten hurt more more times on a dirt bike than I have on a road race bike because it's
Yeah.
just you hit the ground and you're hurting. But on a road race bike, I've had some pretty bad injuries, like a broken wrist, a broken humerus, broken shoulder. Like I've had some pretty bad injuries, but it's just I don't get them as often as I do if I rode dirt.
And now, what do you do to try to avoid injuries on the bike? Because some people seem to break something every time they fall down, and some people have 30 crashes a year and they're not injured.
Luckily, I'm a very small, flexible person, so most of the time I can get away clean. I always have my trusted gear that I wear, and I just started talking with Ethan Chapluck. I hope I didn't butcher his last name from Southern Riders Performance. He's a rider coach that goes mental and performance coach that goes to all the Moto America rounds. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before, but he has his own RV. Ben Galati, Hunter Dudham, a couple of those riders go to him. So I've been in touch with him recently, and he has me doing a lot of like really hard stretching exercises and stuff, just so that that kind of stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Instead, instead of just going to a certain point and snapping, you keep going.
right. I actually podcasted with Ethan Chapluck just a couple episodes ago. Um, so yeah, I know him very well, and seems like he's helping a lot of guys out in the paddock. Stay injury free, or at least when you get an injury, that you can recover faster, because it's kind of inevitable at some point, unfortunately. But if you can recover and get back to it as soon as possible, that's usually the idea. Some people, it seems more common nowadays, and maybe it was before, I just didn't know about it, but people riding with broken bones or sprained everything and still going out there. That's just part of the sport.
I've unfortunately done that before. I rode a week after I got the pins pulled from my wrist. I rode when my arm wasn't even close to fully healed, and I got to go get my knee checked out. I've been riding with a pretty messed up knee for a couple years now, and I'm starting to feel the effects of it. But hopefully, this training will help sort it out. And it's not. I'm used to doing the traditional, like go to the gym, lift some weights and stuff. I'm used to that. This is a whole different type of training, and I feel the effects. Like today, I'm not really like hurting like I would if I go to the gym, but I definitely feel it in my body. Like I've definitely worked.
That's good. It sounds like he's got a pretty good program going on, from working your body and all your tiny muscles, or the specific muscles you need for racing and riding, but also doing the mental side, so you can focus on fighting at the top of the professional racing in America and trying to get podiums and race wins.
Yeah, and he's very good at what he does, and I know many people have been like Ben Galati that have gone through him, and they say everything is good about him. He knows what he's talking about. He knows exactly what exercises and what muscles you need to work out for racing. So that's just something I've never had before. So I really appreciate it.
And does he provide like meal plans, or like advice on that, or is that like a separate? Do you have like a chef or something?
I do not have it. Well, the chef is my mom,
Yeah.
but uh, if you ask him, he'll definitely give you some tips and stuff like that on what you should be eating, your calorie range, and stuff like that.
Yeah, because some people just you see they're an athlete, but they're drinking Coke and eating candy all the time. It's like, what are you doing? How are you still racing this way and you're eating junk food? Some people can pull it off.
I mean, I'm one of those people that can pull it off. I always stay the same. I've been the same weight for the past like 2 years, and I've grown in height. And I'm not saying I go on a diet. I do eat healthy, and I try to like watch what I eat to make sure I'm not eating too much junk food and everything. But I'm not on like a strict salad diet.
Yeah, gotta
You
have some fun sometimes.
athletes that you don't have to be on a strict like only salad diet. Just like eat in moderation.
Yeah, or if you do a really good workout, like I just did before I came here, then you can have a beer. It's okay. You gotta have some balance.
Exactly, balance. That's the best way you can put it. I'm about to go to the gym after I leave this.
I did an Orange Theory fitness class. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
No, not really.
It's just like high intensity interval training type of thing. So they do running and rowing, and then a weights section, a weight on the floor, free weights, and jumping around a little bit. So
Difficult. I've done one of those before.
yeah, so I mean, you just go to your own max potential for that day. Like I was saying earlier, my ankle's really starting to hurt me. Been on and off for a while now, so I think I might need to do something about it. And
Yeah,
I'm sure because you get let me speak for myself. I've been getting a massage every month or so for the last couple of years because I work out all the time, and you get injuries, and like being an athlete, you have to get those pain points worked out. Sometimes it's not a sprain. Sometimes you just have a muscle issue, or like my ankle right now is I think it's a tendon or something. I don't even know the right injury or name of what's wrong, but it's like on the inside of my heel on my left foot. You can see the tendon protruding where it's not supposed to be, and it's not showing like that on the right foot. So I'm like, oh, that's probably the problem. It feels like, you know how you can crack your foot if you do this with your ankle sometimes? My left foot can't do that. And it's something, it feels like it's in the way. It's just maybe inflamed. So maybe I should put some ice on it. I don't know.
I always ice all my injuries. It usually, even though it doesn't always help, it definitely makes you feel better. So
Yeah.
icing definitely works. And I've never have gotten a massage before, but I know like that stuff works. It helps a lot. And like with my knee, and this happened like a long time ago, but I kind of just dealt with it. I tore a couple of my ligaments and tendons in my knee, so it's very stretched out. So even if I walk, it pops out of its socket all the time, and pretty bad sometimes too. Sometimes it'll pop out a little bit and snap back in. Sometimes I have to sit on the ground and pop it back in. So it's been getting very worse the more I ride. So last year I've ridden the most I've ever had, and now I'm starting to feel it. And I'm planning on go. And I'm supposed to go to the doctor. I was supposed to go like 2 weeks ago, but it ended up getting canceled. So now we have to reschedule.
Um, I just read or listened to, I haven't finished it yet, John Hopkins' book on racing. I don't know if you're familiar with that, if you read that.
I haven't read it yet, but I've definitely seen the book.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I'm like 15 and 16 chapters in. And man, I think he said at one point he's had more surgeries than how old he was. And and
That's
he's created a relationship with this doctor, and every time he needs surgery, he goes to this doctor, and he basically, I don't know, sponsors him somehow from all this, work, and now publicity from the work of doing it on medical professionals. So, yeah, man, it's sometimes I think we put off the things that we need to get fixed, but if it's race season, it's hard to get those things worked on.
exactly like my situation right now. If I were to have to get surgery, it once again would probably be put off until next season. And this time around, I definitely go to the doctors. It's the day after the season is over. You get the surgery.
Get it scheduled, right?
Yeah, because if I were to get surgery now, mostly on something this big, it'd probably put me out for 6 months.
Yeah, if not longer, depending on what's involved and how much they have to cut away.
Yeah, luckily I heal. I heal quick. Like most of my injuries are healed usually like even a week or two before it's supposed to. But it's something that's 6 months long. A week or two isn't helping that much. So I kind of just have to wait. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, obviously you have to wear a race suit at all times, full gloves, gauntlet gloves out to the middle of your wrist, helmet, full face within 5 years of the expiration date, manufacture date, and full boots. You wear an undersuit.
I do wear an undersuit. I have.
Wear an undersuit to help get it on and off a little easier, and to help it stink a little less. And then, do you wear any other armor?
Well,
Like,
last year I had the Tech Air airbag, but this year with RST they have their own airbag system, so I won't have to worry about sending it off to Alpine Stars and stuff like that anymore. It has its own canisters that are tucked in the back of the suit, so it still runs off GPS and everything the same way the Alpine Stars work. But the containers, if I were to end up going down and I needed another airbag, I can do it right there at the track. So that definitely is a lot better than having to send it all off and then I just have like a dead weight pretty much on me. That isn't helping.
yeah. And then, do you wear any like chest protector, hip protection, or shorts, or back protector?
Well, with the airbag, you don't have to wear a chest or back protector. It goes around your whole body.
Okay.
Actually, with this system, I'm pretty sure you have to wear at least a chest protector, which I have, so that's not a big deal. But I mean, other than that, just undersuit, boots, suit, airbag, gloves, helmet.
And then,
And
you're doing the high socks.
oh yeah, I wear high socks. I wear racing socks. You can get them
Yeah.
online or cycle gear or something.
And usually those are actually some sort of cooling texture or fabric that it's like cool to the touch, which is nice when you're at a 100-degree race event.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't noticed anything big. I just like that my legs don't get all chewed up from the boots or anything. Because
For
like
sure.
regular socks, I mean, they don't really get chewed up, but you'll feel it a little more than if you wear the racing socks that are a little thicker. So it kind of just helps protect your foot from your boot. Or if you were to go down or anything, and your boot moves around, it doesn't leave road rash or anything on your leg.
Yeah. And you're based in New York,
Yeah, I live in Long Island.
Long Island. So how far do you have to drive or to get to a racetrack around you?
Around me, the closest one is OVRP. It's a mini track. That's like an hour and a half away,
Okay.
2 hours depending on traffic. But the closest big bike track is NJMP, and that's like
Okay.
2.5, 2:45, like I said, depending on traffic or if I'm pulling a trailer.
I gotcha. So yeah, you're probably like 10, 12 hours driving distance from me then.
Pretty much, or I think it's actually 15.
Well,
No,
you have to go the long way instead of through Canada.
yeah, it's a little less because from me to Wisconsin is like 18, and you guys are a little closer than that. So it's
Yeah.
gonna, you're right, it's probably like 12, 13 hours.
I've never made that drive before, but I just actually got back from Daytona yesterday. I went to work the ARMA event, the American Historical Racing Motor Association, vintage bikes at Daytona on the high banks, and they had the flat track event there too. And I was a track marshal there for that event, so that was a lot of fun. Got to camp there for free and be in the set nice, beautiful 75-degree weather. It was a little chilly. One of the nights it got down to like 55 was the coldest. And I come back to Michigan and it's 12 degrees.
Yeah, that sucks.
I'm like,
Here
oh, man,
today at work, it was like 17 degrees and it sucked.
pretty cold. It's like, I just want to be below the snow belt so I don't have to deal with the cold. I'd rather drive to the cold, not live in it.
Yeah, pretty much. And speaking of Daytona, speaking of Florida, I was supposed to go to Florida, but we ended up not being able to go. We're gonna have to postpone it for probably another week. And I'm hoping to make it down to Homestead the 22nd with N2. So I'm hoping for that. I have a supermoto like you said before,
Yeah.
and you said supermoto is cheap, and depending on the supermoto you buy, it's
Yeah.
not. I got a FS 450, and that
That's
thing's
a full send for 450.
yeah, that thing is fully built and everything. Thing's ready to rip. I
Heck
got
yeah.
tires for it and everything.
That's awesome. My buddy Jeff has got one, and it's a beast. It's like a wheelie monster. Every time you get on the gas, it just wants to come up.
Yeah, definitely. And you just gotta drag that rear brake a little bit. Those 450s, they eat, and they need that little bit of rear brake to keep that front end down.
So, what is your thought on a 250 versus 450? Because they're not that much different in price, really. And I don't know. I haven't had a 250 yet, so I'm like, well, I should start on the smaller bike. But the 450 has more classes for racing that you can enter. Isn't that right?
Uh, actually, they're kind of about the same, depending on where you go. I ride with NJ Mini GP, and it's one class, so 250, 450, you guys are mixed together. And it depends what kind of 450 we are talking about. If we're comparing the Supermoto build FS 450 to my FS at my FS to my CRF 250R, I'd go for the FS because
Yeah.
my 250 is a bone stock dirt bike that I bought tires off Amazon. I mean, I bought wheels off Amazon and slapped my Moto America takeoffs on and went to go ride that. But compared to a FS 450 that's built for Supermoto, has travel for Supermoto, geometry for Supermoto, everything is built for Supermoto. It's kind of there's no comparison there.
It's like purpose built.
Yeah, it's built for super. Like you can ride a dirt bike on the rotor track, but you can't ride a supermoto on the dirt track.
Really?
So yeah, because the travel is not as long as a
Oh, I see. Yeah.
dirt bike. So
So what's the travel difference? Like I think my mountain bike fork is like 100 millimeters. Um,
I can't tell you the specifics. I just know that one's longer than the other.
yeah. So one's probably like time and a half bigger because I see some of the even the downhill mountain bikes can get up to 150 or 200 millimeters. So it's like double the travel.
Yeah, those downhill mountain bikes have some really big travel, but you're also sending it down a huge hills, so
Yeah.
you're gonna need that.
So
Same
I
with
don't do full downhill yet. I do like they call it downhill slash cross country. So there's really no mountains in Michigan. So there's not a whole lot of drop offs, but it's a lot of climbing and you're doing laps. So even if you're going downhill, you got to come back up at some point. So it's tough.
yeah, that's some really good training, and I want to get like a real deal mountain bike, but first I gotta save up my money. I just got a car. I just bought
Yeah.
a bike, so I kind of gotta save up a little bit. But when I have the money, I'll definitely get a really nice. I don't know if I get a full suspension. I might get a hardtail because they're a little more versatile and cheaper. So I might just end up getting that and doing some. There's probably I haven't really looked into it. There's probably some kind of downhill in New York or PA I can go to. So it's really not that bad. And that would be some very good training to do on the weekends when I can't ride moto or anything.
Yeah, and it's almost free once you got the bike. Just some light maintenance, a chain here and there. Maybe a crank set if you really screw it up. I just replaced some tire tubes. I need to feed a new cable through for my. I have a lockout suspension on my new bike. I got a 2019 Trek. It's a Top Fuel 8, so it's a full suspension. You really don't need the full suspension though. It's just kind of a luxury. But yeah, a lot of the guys have hardtails, and that's fine too. They're just as fast, or sometimes people argue faster. So, but I would definitely recommend 29er over the 27 and a half or the 26, the old standard. You get a little bit more distance for every pedal stroke, and it's easier to go over objects like rocks and logs and everything. Um, and actually, I've been looking into a fat tire bike because we got so much snow and ice here now. You need a little bit more traction, and um, I think it'd be cool to have an all seasons type of bike.
Yeah, I'm definitely full suspensions going on that real quick. They're amazing. They're even though they're a little more expensive, they're worth it. They're a little more forgiving if you were to screw up off a jump, and they're just more comfortable riding. And the hardtail is kind of just for someone who doesn't want to spend that much money but wants to send it a little bit. That's what a hardtail is for.
Well, if you look at the UCI World Championship for mountain bike downhill stuff and cross country, those guys are mostly on hardtails. You can have full suspension, and then they choose not to, even though they have this incredibly difficult terrain. So you really don't need it if you can get through it like they are, because as long as you have the travel on your front fork, the rear tire is trailing behind you, and you can control that with your body weight distribution, get your butt and your body behind the seat, so you don't flip over the handlebars and all that stuff. Um, but I like it because if you want to transfer or keep your weight, like on a motorcycle, you want to be smooth, right? So I like to sit down and have my weight stay stationary and low. Um, so then if my butt was on the seat for the hardtail, that would hurt a lot. But if I have full suspension, it's a lot easier. So it's just different styles, I guess.
Yeah, definitely different styles, different terrain, and just what you're comfortable with. Like a hardtail, it's it's a lot lighter than full suspension. So for someone like me who likes to be up on top of the bike and snappy on it, so I like to throw it around. A hardtail will be good for me because it's light, it's a little smaller, so it's a little easier for me to just throw it around and make it do exactly what I want it to. Where the
Yeah.
full suspension, you could do the same, it just takes a little more effort.
And I feel like the full suspension is a little bit more difficult for wheelie balance because it's always like kind of moving underneath you and it's not fixed.
Uh, that's kind of true. I've gotten pretty good at wheeling a bicycle and a motorcycle to where I don't feel that. I can
Yeah.
just pull it up and leave it up until I feel like dropping it.
Yeah. So you
That's
got a balance point for forever.
pretty much there's only one bike I haven't been able to wheelie, and that's the R6. And
Yeah.
but that's only because I'm a little like I've been like, oh, it's not really my bike, so I don't want to like loop it. But one day I'm probably just gonna pull it up. See what
And so you just learned that over years of practice, or do you have a stunt bike at home, or how do you go about learning that?
Well, I learned on a bicycle, falling a lot of times and just figuring it out. And then on a motorcycle, I kind of just did it. Came pretty easy to me because I've always known how to use a rear brake. So the only difficult part was just overcoming the fear of it and finding the balance point. When I get to the balance point, I can keep it there for as long as I want.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a lot further back than a lot of people think. And if you tap that rear brake a little bit and not tap it, but hold it at a small percentage sometimes to just keep some pressure on it. Sometimes it helps.
Yeah, sometimes if you find the right pressure, the right balance point, and the right throttle position, you can just keep it in one spot
Yeah.
until you want to drop it. I mean, the revs will get to a certain point where they'll get too high, and then you end up having to either just pull it back a little bit and hitting the rear brake to slow it down in the wheelie, or just dropping it.
Yeah. One of the last changes I just did on my mountain bike was a rear brake change because I was just holding my rear brake trying to practice my wheelies all the time, and they just went. It was screaming every time I touch them. It was just screaming. It's like I have a bell as my rear brake.
Yeah, I mean, just wheelies on a dirt bike, on a bicycle, you just kind of have to find that balance point, and eventually you'll get good at it to the point where you don't even need the brakes. Like even
Yeah.
on a motorcycle, sometimes depending on what I'm doing, I don't even use the brakes. Like I posted a stand-up wheelie on my Instagram on the 450, like the day I bought it, and that wasn't any rear brakes. I was just able to control it with a throttle. And same with the bicycle, you control it with your weight and the pedals. So
Right.
sometimes you don't even need it.
It's just another tool to have. So after my brakes were going, I still try to keep doing it, but it just it feels like a little bit more risk. You can't go up as high and just rely on the brakes anymore. You have to imagine that it's not there.
Yeah, it's definitely harder, but that will make you better at doing wheelies because you'll learn how to hold a balance point for longer.
For sure. Instead of compensating with the brake, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, unless you get really good to the point where you can use the rear brake and then get right to the balance point from there, I mean, that you could just do whatever you want. Like when I do a wheel on a bicycle, I can throw it back to the point where I'll drag my hand on the ground and hold the rear brake and then bring it back to balance point and keep it there again.
Yeah. And what about
Falling and practicing.
endos or stoppies? Wheelie with the back tire in the air,
I could do those. I mean, not that good. I won't go
like
over.
top rack.
No, I'm no stop rack. But I can definitely get the rear wheel off the ground and hold it for a couple feet.
Yeah, and that seems like it's risky too. But if you got a steering stabilizer, it's not gonna just fold from under you.
It's, you can use your weight to hold that, like use your hips to clamp the tank, and you can kind of move the bike, kind of, depending on the bike. You can kind of move it around.
Yeah.
But most of it is just using the front brake. Like if you're up over the front and you feel the bike start to tip this way, if you lean over the front this way to kind of bring it back. So there's ways to go around that. But doing endos are definitely a little more, I think, are more dangerous than doing stopping. If you were to go over, that bike's landing on you. There's no way around it. At least with a wheelie, you kind of throw it away from you. You can't really throw away a stoppie. I mean, you could kind of, but it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah. And so you believe that um, stunt riding or learning these things with your bike actually makes you a better rider?
Depending on how you go about it, kinda. Like if you really like, if you're doing wheelies for fun, I mean, they're fun, yeah. But if you're doing wheelies and you're doing it for fun, but you're trying to figure out like how you work the rear brake and stuff, then it could end up being beneficial. Or moving your weight around on the bike, it could end up being beneficial.
Yeah, I think it just it shows a greater understanding of bike control and that you can push it to these limits with maybe easier than some other people, and it just gives you more confidence.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the confidence part is probably the biggest thing because that's like most people can wheelie because most people know how to ride very well, but can't wheelie just because they can't commit to it.
Yeah.
So it definitely just gives you that extra confidence to that you know how to work with the bike.
Whether it's a just clutch up or power wheelie or elevation based, you know.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like like learning how to wheelie like no matter what in any situation, just kind of teach you can learn to adapt to the bike and the environment around you. Like if you're doing a wheelie and you go up a hill, you're gonna
Oh
start.
yeah, yeah. Or go back down the hill. That's my favorite thing is messing with hills and wheelies because it's always different and it's always like changing.
Uh-huh.
It's
So
pretty
yeah,
cool.
you just learn how to work with the bike. So
Yeah.
I think it is very beneficial if you go about it the right way. If you're just doing it and you know how to do it, and you're just doing it and you're not really learning anything, it doesn't really matter. If it's fun, it's fun. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
But that's not going to teach you much. It's
It'd
just
be fun to get a dedicated stunt bike that I could just go in parking lots and just not care if you throw it down the road.
get a 110.
Yeah, 110. I was thinking like a 600 with those cages on them. You know, those they have the bars and the metal things sticking
Oh
out of the
yeah, yeah,
side.
little wheelie cages.
Yeah,
You could do that, but it's gonna be a little more expensive if you get a 110. That's
yeah.
just how I see it.
Well, that's why I'm selling all these parts, so I get them at cost now.
That is true. Sell money, make money to sell money, right? Oh, make money to spend money.
Yeah, so that I can spend it all on racing. That's the whole goal is to fund or sell enough parts online that I can fund professional racing. Hopefully, I'll be out there with you guys. You know, I have never been on a racetrack with a junior cup bike. You know, the lines are going to be so much different. I was always 600 and up um, with my track knowledge so far. So I think I'd stay in the 600 class when I get back into it. Although it'd be interesting to try out a 400. You go through tires less, I'm sure, and I don't know, it'd be cheaper.
It's definitely cheaper, but if you start getting into Moto America, it's not as cheap as you think.
And I can't be in the junior cup class because I'm too old now, so it's kind of irrelevant for me.
But definitely, like you said, if you want to get back into it, I'd start where you left off or what you really know. There's no point getting in and getting on something you don't even know. So now you're learning how to ride again and learning something you don't even know how to ride. You're just gonna make it that much more difficult.
Yeah.
But riding a 400 is, I mean, when I hop on the 600, I'm pretty competitive on the R6. Like I'm able to run close to Moto. Like at every track, I've been at least like a second and a half, a second off the top running Moto America times on a 06 R6. So I'm able to I can be competitive on it. And going back on the 400, the lines aren't even as much as you think. Like from a 400 to 600, the lines will change just a little bit. You have to enter in a little bit later. But then from you go from a 600 to a 1000, it's a huge difference. Because on a 1000, you kind of go into a turn. It's kind of like a triangle almost.
Yeah.
So you can make it an arc.
Yeah, it seems like the 400s want to get curb to curb faster. The 600s seem like they are, instead of curb to curb faster, you're looking for the end of the curb, not maybe as soon as you can get to the widest curb. It's more carry as much momentum as possible through the corner. And it's amazing that you can even be faster than a 600 in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, even on the 600, like the 400 is more so because there's no power at all to work with. It's all momentum. So you really just have to find those sweeping fast lines. And everyone thinks, oh, when you get to a 600, you got to square off the corner. You really don't. Most turns, some turns even, I take the same line I do on a 400.
Okay.
The 600, it has power, but not that much. So it's not putting like 200 horsepower to the ground. You're putting 120.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get away with taking more sweepy lines and getting on the gas in the middle of the turn. So like even that, you have to carry a lot of momentum because you don't have that much power to put to the ground.
And what's the difference in horsepower between 600 and the 400? You said 600 is about 120-ish?
Yeah, 120, and depending on who's building it and what you've done to it, you can get it to 130 if you really try. And the 400, around like 147 to 150.
Okay.
Some Moto America bikes I've heard gotten to like 50. Wait, did I say 140? I didn't mean to.
Just 47 to 50?
I think I said 147, but I meant 47 to 50 is usually like the range of most bikes on the junior cup class. But I've heard some have gotten over 50, but that's very difficult to do. And I don't know how you're doing that.
And then the 1000s, what, 180 to 200 horsepower?
I think more. I don't know.
212 or something?
I only know the horsepower for the 600 and 400 because I've seen them being tuned and I know the dyno sheets because they're the bikes that I ride. But I've never seen a dyno sheet for like the Superbike 1000. So I don't really know what those are pushing, but they have to be around 200,
It's
I assume.
probably proprietary information.
Oh, yeah, they definitely don't tell you exactly. They'll give you the roundabout, maybe.
Yeah. So, talking about information, Nolan Lampkin, a 600cc guy. He's been racing Moto America for many years now.
Yeah, yeah, of course I know Nolan.
He gives away his data for free. What do you think of that?
I mean, like at the track, I'm not really the biggest secretive person. I mean, some things I like to hide like a little bit because I'm not just going to tell everyone everything. But if you come up and ask me a question, even if you're a competitor or even a close friend, like Max, even before we were teammates, if he came up to me and asked me a question, I tell him almost exactly what I like. I tell him exactly what I did. I mean, not to like the T, like where exactly I'm braking, but I'll tell him like I brake like here and I downshift here and I'm on the gas here and this is my line, just something like that. I don't like, and even if we're going over data, I'll show him the data sheet and everything. And I'm not a, like I said, I'm not a big secretive person. So if you want to know something, sure.
Yeah,
I
I think
really,
it's yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
it's all right. Like if they ask me like what I'm doing for suspension and stuff, that's a different story that I like to keep to myself. And most of the time, I don't even know exactly what we did. I come into the pits, I tell them like, so I'm experiencing this problem. This is how I think we should fix it. And they do the intricate stuff, like all the clicks and stuff in the suspension. That's what they worry about. All I worry about is getting the information to them, and I trust them to get the rest done, which they have all the time.
Yeah. So I haven't actually looked at the data myself, but from what I understand, he's giving away his aim or his lap timer data from the track for his maybe a hot lap or a race or so, so that you can see his exact throttle position or acceleration points and decel and off gas and maybe G force or something. I'm not sure if he's giving away actual suspension settings or things like that or gearing. But I know that he's showing his data logger type of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely like something to help out people who are learning and stuff like that. Figure out like, oh wow, you can really carry this much speed through this turn. But showing it to other professional racers don't really help that much.
Yeah,
Because most of the time we're just as fast and some things don't work with for us because since we're around the same speed, something that you do won't help me. Because like I said, I like to carry a lot of corner speed. So someone who likes to carry a lot more exit speed than just entry speed like me, you tell me, oh, I take this line, I'll try to take that line, and it won't work. It might make me even slower.
so there's not necessarily a perfect line. It's just a blend of man and machine and how you can get the bike around.
Exactly. It's just how you ride the bike. It's how you are and stuff like that. There's definitely a roundabout line you have to take. Like there's most of the time it's not really set, but some things are. Some things are set. Like you have to like enter in at this spot, but how you get to that spot is a whole different. So like most turns you have to hit the apex. Like there's no like, oh, I'm gonna take a different line. Like you have to hit the apex, but it's how you get to the apex is what makes a difference.
Yeah,
So someone telling you something might either make you slower or faster. You never know. You have to try it, but it's not always going to work. So like I say, even if you tell someone data or anything, it might not even help them.
yeah, yeah. For most professionals, I would see that it probably wouldn't help a tremendous amount unless maybe it's your rookie season and you're looking for information. Maybe you haven't been to that track before, type of thing. Um, and or yeah, you're just learning. But for people who are maybe track day or novice expert racers, that could probably be very helpful. A seasoned expert, a seasoned professional, um, sharing that data with an expert or an amateur racer would be very helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Just showing that really shows someone like how much speed you can carry through the turn and not have to be even like aggressive about it. Watching Nolan, he's a very smooth rider, very fast. So watching his lines, you can see how smooth he is through the turn. You can see how easy he is on the throttle, like getting in, like going on the brakes, it's 5, 10, not straight to 100. So
Yeah.
like stuff like that, you can really pick up on. But like I said, with like a lot of other professionals, they know that stuff, most of them. So for them, it's not really teaching that much. You can always learn something from watching someone.
Yeah.
So like even from that sense, it's still good, but it's mostly aimed probably for like amateurs or even some experts and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and I wanted to ask you, are you planning on going to Daytona for the 200 this year?
Yeah, as of right now, I was supposed to race the 200, but now that Moto America sanctioned it, the rules have changed, and you have to be within, I think, 5 years of the newest bike to be able to race. Not even just to get a contingency to be able to race. And my bike is way out of that range. So as of right now, I don't have a ride for the 200. I might still go though, help support my friends who are racing there. And if anything comes up, we'll try to make it, and we'll see what happens.
What do you think it would take to find a bike for the event? Could you possibly rent a bike, or maybe somebody has an extra bike they'd be willing to lend you for an afternoon?
Yeah, if someone wants to lend me a bike, that'll be great. We'll be able to get our own stuff there and stuff like that. It's just someone, I just need the bike to ride. And I have to talk to my dad about it and everything if he still wants to do it, because we still have to get the crew together and stuff like that. But I'm sure we can figure that out. If someone really wants to give us a bike and help us out, then we can definitely make it happen.
Yeah, and that's the biggest race I'd say for motorcycles in the country, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. And Daytona is a good track, and I'm very positive I can put some great results out. I went to Daytona in October, and I was running low 51s, which isn't the close isn't that close to running top Moto America times, but that was running at the end of the day at the endurance race, and I was kind of tired. And I definitely know I can put down faster lap times. In the last lap of the race, the last lap on the last race, on my dash, even though it doesn't mean anything, uh, it was a low 50, but it didn't end up like that in the end. So it doesn't mean anything because I ended up getting to a battle at the end. But at least I know that I could get to that. Like,
So you're saying the optimal or potential time based on your fastest sectors?
yeah, something like that. Even though I didn't set it, so I don't know, so I can't say, oh, I could definitely do that. But at least I have it in my head that it's a possibility that I can do those times.
Oh, for sure. I was just at Daytona a couple days ago, and Heron was doing 51 ones
Oh yeah, and that's
on
what
his
I'm
brand new
like.
Ducati, and first time on it.
I've never ridden before. First time riding that bike at that track. That's nuts.
So
He
yeah,
was,
and he was. Well, I looked at you can see the race monitor app and just see the lap times. I mean, I can't look at my phone while the race is going on, but you can look at it after. And so you can see it was like 51.3, 51.4, 51.3, 51.5, 51.1. I'm like, that's pretty good. And to be that consistent over, I'm not sure the exact distance of it, but it's a long lap, almost 2 minute lap time. So it's even better that you can be so close to your lap time, having a long track.
oh yeah, not even a bike it's not a bike you're used to or anything. So you don't even know how it reacts. And I'm sure after like riding it at like a long period of time, he could figure out the quirks and things you have to work out. But he's probably still putting down the same fast lap times because Josh Aaron, amazing rider. I've always loved Josh Aaron, and I've been in the Heron compound a couple times. I was supposed to make that trip, but like I said, I couldn't make it. And he knows how to adapt to the bike. So I'm sure he was able to adapt to the bike and figure it out. And the more they work on it and the more they fix those little like problems or quirks that he's experiencing, I'm sure he'll be a big hitter in the 600 class. And I'm excited to watch.
For sure. I was corner working, and this one girl was asking me, he's so far ahead of everybody else. Why is he still going so fast?
Gotta be consistent every lap. Like champ habits is something I've learned from Billy Sink from Evolve. He always says champ habits, champ habits. So you got to be doing the same lap time every lap. And something Matthew Scolt said, something their team would do is he'd go out, same tires, but you run them for like a lot of laps to the point where they're shot, but you still work for the same, like you'll put a lap time down and you'll aim for that all the way until the tires are so bad. So you just got to be able to learn and adapt to the bike and still be able to run that same speed. Because in a race, you can't just pull in. You can't run the same time because your tires are shot. You have to learn to keep pushing.
Yep,
So
and
that's why they do it.
for sure. And yeah, he's just using this as practice for the next event. you know, he doesn't really care about this race. I mean, he wants to win, of course, but it's all practice for the next race coming up in March.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what like when I go to CCS for the 400, that's really what I do. It's more of a practice or just figuring out the next. It's more of a testing thing for the race, for the Moto America race. But when I go there on the R6, it's kind of I go there to learn and figure out the 600 because I don't race Moto America yet, and I'm not up to where I want to be before I race a Moto America race. But I'm getting really close, and I think that's just because I go to the CCS races on that 600, and I work really hard with the team and just to figure out how to ride the 600. And I think I'm starting to figure it out pretty well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool having rode two different types of machinery at the racetrack at the same track to and compare your lap times. About how much faster are you typically on the 600 versus the 400?
I mean, depends on the track. Like at Daytona, what time did I do there? I think I did a minute 10 on the 400, and on the 600, like I said, I did a 51. So it's a huge gap. But at a track like let me see, Jersey, I'm doing 30 O's on the 400, and on the 600, I'm doing 25s. I did
Okay,
25.
so not too far away.
Yeah, so I did a 30-0 and a 25-0. So 5 seconds, but that's just because there's one long straightaway, and the rest are turns, and you can really see the difference, like of where I'm carrying corner speed. And some turns on the 600, I'm like, oh wow, I'm going really fast in the 600, and I'm not going as fast on the 400. So I go out on the 400, and I'll go even faster because I figured out like how much more corner speed you can carry.
Yeah, yeah, it's I'm sure it helps you out, and learning on one probably helps you out on the other one.
Yeah, for sure, because you just learn different riding styles, different like habits you pick up on both bikes, so that kind of correlate over.
And it was really cool being at the flat track event. They didn't really have enough marshals. There was only one person per corner at opposite corners. So they had two stations out of four corners and one person at each of them. And then one person at start finish. So I'm like, this is, I mean, it was a short track. It was, I'm not sure the exact distance, eighth of a mile maybe. Um, but we were all spectating, and we all had our official gear on. We're all wearing white and says race official on it. And I'm still wearing my whistle. I didn't even go back to my camp area. So I'm like, well, why don't we just go out there? It was an intermission, so we said, hey, do you guys need help? One guy was trying to buy a chest protector, and he's like, yeah, if you can have this for free if you get more marshals out there. So I went out to grab a beer from the truck, and I saw Neil, and he was like, hey, you want to go do marshaling? I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I was just returning the keys because I grabbed the beer from their truck, and I just told them, hey, they need people now. So I grabbed another 12 people, and we all started walking out, and the track is intermission. So between practices and the finals and all that, and the heats and the finals. So now we had 3 to 4 people at each corner and helping out, and we looked super professional. Most of us were still wearing white. At a dirt track it doesn't stay white.
No,
But man, it was a blast. That's my first time ever being at a flat track event in person. And didn't I didn't bring my earplugs or my gloves, but I still had the uniform on, so it was all right. But man, that was a lot of fun. There was only, I think, a couple people fell down, but everybody was pretty much fine. There was at the very end, this guy on a pit bike ate shit and wasn't wearing enough gear. He just had a helmet on, and he was pretty dazed. But medical personnel are right there 2 seconds later. But he got up on his own. I pushed the bike away, and then I think it was Will was the first responder for the guy. So he was like just trying to corral him, not make sure he didn't go back onto the racetrack, trying to go to the outside of the track. But he was stumbling pretty good. He's like, okay, let's just sit down. Do you know where you are? What day is it? And he was like not answering very well. So that's kind of scary sometimes. But I think that's why they don't try to do all the pit bike races, because this guy's like trying to send it. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. on a machine that probably isn't meant for that, you know.
And he's probably drunk.
He's probably, yeah, he had a couple beers, so that doesn't help.
Bike races, people just go out there and just start throwing down no matter what. Doesn't even matter.
Yeah, they think it's a hooligan race, so they're trying to be hooligans.
Yeah, you nailed it perfectly. It's pretty much what it is.
But it's a blast, man. I had a lot of fun and I got paid for it, so can't wait to keep
Yeah.
doing it.
Can't complain about that, right? Had fun.
So, yeah, I was planning on going to Homestead, Miami in December, but I couldn't get a hold of the guy who runs it. But I finally got his number, so maybe next event. When did you say you're going there?
It's
coming up in a couple weeks.
23rd. That's next weekend.
Oh, next weekend, 23rd.
I'm really trying to make it out. I gotta find someone who can go down with me because I have my license, but I don't have my full license, so I can make the excuse of going down with a licensed driver. So I just have to find someone who'll go down. Because my dad can't go; he's going to work.
Okay, it's a possibility. I think I might have to reschedule a podcast, but that wouldn't be the end of the world for me going down there. But you're in New York. I would just fly down there, but you have to bring your bike.
Yeah, I have to find a way to get my bikes down there.
That's a problem, huh?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. If I can find someone to take my bikes down, maybe that'll be a different story. But I gotta figure that out.
Feel like how long does it take to ship a bike? Could you ship a bike and fly down there? That sounds like an ordeal. I don't even know how you go about doing that.
You could, but that's very expensive. So I might just end up going anyway. I know someone who wants to go, so I just have to talk to him and kind of convince him to go. Because we'll hook up a trailer to his truck, and I'll throw my bikes in, and I can help him drive and everything. So he won't be driving by himself. So that'll be pretty sick.
So you just have to drive with a licensed person over 25 or something for a while? 21?
Until March 11th. And then I turn 17 and I get my license.
Nice. That's coming up soon.
Yeah, pretty much. So I only have to hold out for another 2 months. And I can start doing my own trips and stuff like that.
Very good. And with all your travel, are you still in high school? Or are you do like homeschooling, or how does that work?
I am homeschooled, and I work for my dad, so I can take off to go ride whenever I need to and stuff like that. So that's a big thing. So I get paid, so I have money to do these trips and stuff like that, and take off when I want.
Yeah. So tell me about what you do with your dad.
Construction. He is the manager for the construction company, and the boss is my godfather. So it's pretty much like I get paid, and if I have to take off, I let him know a couple days before, like, hey, I have to go ride, and whatever, go.
You got some flexibility there. They're not making you work the weekends.
No, well, we don't work the weekends anyway, but it's just some days I have to leave early. Like, if we were going to go to Florida this weekend for the SFL MotoGP camp, and we're going to stay throughout the week, we would be leaving tomorrow. So I'd be able to take off the next couple of days, the week, and probably Monday of the following week.
Yeah, that's very helpful. You just have to have a job that's going to accommodate that kind of schedule.
Yeah, pretty much. So I can't go get like a job at a pizzeria or anything. I'll be fired real quick when they find my schedule.
Just got to tell them by day one, this is my schedule. Can you work with this?
Yeah, I did that before I could start working here because I was too young, and I got a bunch of those.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I need 40 weekends off, and including Thursday and Mondays, or Thursday, Friday, and Monday.
A lot.
Yeah. So how many weekends do you typically do a year? Are you out there 20, 30 weekends, or how does that work? Are you doing testing in addition to the Moto America stuff?
Well, last year, I don't know the exact amount of weekends, but it was almost every weekend of the summer. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And this year, with me being on STG, I'll be doing the full schedule and CCS rounds and stuff like that. So we'll be probably upping up the amount of weekends by a lot.
That's awesome.
And since I'll be able to go do things by myself, days where I'm not riding like anything, I'll go grab my motorbike and go to the track, or go grab my supermoto and go ride. So I'll always have something to ride, which is good.
Always staying sharp and fit, and it's hard to always, even though you're training and you're working out, it's always hard to use those exact muscles that you use on a bike.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, the Ethan Chapluck is really good with working out like riding muscles. So even though I'm not riding, I'm still working out the muscles that I need. but it's still beneficial to get on a bike and get like mentally fit too on the bike because at least you're
Yeah,
thinking, you're putting things in your head, you're always learning, which is
for
not
sure.
something you really do at home or at the gym.
For sure. And so how did you get in contact with Sport Bike Trek Gear and get on their team? It sounds like a prestigious place to be.
Well, we've always known them. My dad's been buying stuff from them for I think it was like before I was born. So it's been a long time since my dad was actually no, they were established after I was born. I don't know exactly, but my dad's been buying stuff from them for a long, long time. So when we heard they were at the track, uh, we had to get to know them, and I became friends with Max, and I've known Max for 3 years, so I've been friends with him for a while. So it wasn't like some random thing where like, hey guys, have you on the team? It's kind of been in the works for a long time, and just pitting with them and stuff. We really learned that we can work together, and the Vans are a great family. We really love them, so it was just we posed the question, and there you go. Actually, no, they were the ones that asked the question.
They asked you?
Yeah, so it ended up becoming a thing at Barber, and we just kind of talked, found out all the like the logistics and everything of it, and there you go, made the post, and we're good to go.
So not too long ago, that was at the massive monsoon event at Barber. It was raining the whole time.
Yeah, that was bad. That's terrible. I like riding in the rain, but that was not something I had fun in.
No, that was too much rain.
It was way too much. It was kind of dangerous, but I'm not one to complain, so I just whatever. It's riding conditions. I go out and ride. Everyone's in the same conditions, so you can't complain. It's just it was a little sketchy.
So yeah, I mean, you're supposed to just slow down if it's really bad, but nobody wants to slow down. So it creates problems.
Yeah, no, no one ever slows down. You're in the race. You're there to race, not go slow. That's the way I see it.
Was it maybe the first time ever in the Superbike race that the three podium finishers all crashed?
Yep, all crashed and finished in the podium. So it's definitely the first time that's ever happened.
Oh man, it wasn't like that in the Junior Cup class. You guys kept it together a little bit better.
Yeah, in race two I didn't, but in race one I was running P4 and keeping up with the. I was battling with the front runners the whole time, and I just got squeezed out in the last lap from P3, and then in race two, it was kind of I was thinking to myself, I'm either gonna win or bin it. I'm here last race of the season. I'm not in championship points. I'm just not going to take out any of the championship contenders. But even though the championship was decided, I didn't want to screw anything up. But I was like, I'm just going to take some chances and hopefully I can pull something through because it would be very well deserved to the team if I was able to pull something off. So I just had to make something work, and I got passed for P3. So I was like, I got to make it back. I passed it back and I just ran a little offline, but I thought I'd make it. And right at the end of coming out of Charlotte's Web, I just clipped the paint, like the last strip of paint, and then it stopped. And I just clipped that last little strip and boom, put me right in the ground.
Oh, it's just a fine line between staying up and sometimes you didn't do anything different. It sounds you might have clipped the paint or clipped the line.
Yeah, the paint is no joke. Like I just barely tapped it, and I was like, I wasn't straight up and down, but I was leaned over this much, so it wasn't even that much. So it wasn't like I was leaned over like this. I was just straight up and down. I was like that, and just boom, right in the ground.
So we don't have Grand Prix paint in the U.S. Is that right?
I think Akota has it. I don't know about Laguna. Laguna might. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me
But,
on it.
but most tracks, it's like the same
Yeah,
material that's it's on the street. It's nothing different than what's
that's
used on the paint on the street.
just paint. So it's all really slick.
Yeah, it's no fun. It's like it seems like they should cover that up because that's a hazard. But it again, everybody has the same limit, but you could make it so it's grippier. We have the technology.
Oh yeah, we definitely do. People just don't want to spend the money. It's the problem.
Probably a lot of money. It's like sandpaper paint.
I don't know what it is exactly. I don't know anything about it. I just know that it's not slippery and wet. It acts like asphalt.
And talking about that Barber race, I think Kayla was in those, and she did really well. She was like her first couple of races, and I think she got a podium.
Yeah, she got her first podium in race one. She got P2, so
Yeah,
uh, that was very well deserved. She rode very well all weekend, so I'm happy for her.
yeah, she's up and coming female. It's always good to see new women in the sport and excelling at a pretty high level.
And she's very fast. She's a very good rider.
Yeah, for sure. I've been hearing a lot about her name. Maybe go overseas at some point.
Maybe they were thinking about it. I know that, and made some couple posts about it, but I don't know anything inside. So
All right. We already got about an hour and 15 minutes. Is there anything else you want to talk about today? I got time. I'm just gonna go eat some dinner when we're done.
not really. I'm just like I said before. I'm just really excited to start the new season with Sport Bike Track here and RST. The like two new people are coming into the mix. So I'm just really excited to see what this year has to offer. And I don't think I put in my post, but Boss Racing and CyberSafe Solutions will still be coming with us. They'll still be on the team. So that hasn't changed. We'll just be under the Sport Bike Track Year canopy. And like I said before, I'll be at every single round this year. So you'll be seeing a lot of me. Hopefully on the top step. That's what we're going for.
And where can people find you online?
I'm on Instagram at Joseph_Limandri. I have two accounts, Joe Limandri _, but I had that as an old account and I don't use it at all. So some people follow me and message me on there. I don't answer anything on there because I don't look at it. So please, if you could, just message on Joseph_Limandri or Joe Limandri Jr. Racing page on Facebook. And we have a website, joelimandrijr.com. So please go check that out too. That's another good way to get to me. My our phone number and everything's on there too. So that's the best ways you can reach me. Or email info@joelimandrijr.com. We answer. I'm always looking at the emails, and so is my dad, but I answer them most of the time.
For sure. Well, very good. Thank you so much for coming on here and talking to me. I'll get this edited and posted in the next probably week or two. And make sure we tag everybody we talked about. We mentioned a bunch of people this time.
Yep, for sure. If you need me to send you anything, you know where to get me. So thank you again, Eric. I really appreciate you getting me on, and can't wait for the next one.
All right, man. Let's talk again next year. Have
Yeah.
a good one. I'll see you at the racetrack.
Yep.